In recent years, a silent crisis has been unfolding across the globe. From sun-scorched fields in Africa to flooded rice paddies in Southeast Asia and wilting crops in the American Midwest, the evidence is increasingly impossible to ignore. Climate change is disrupting agriculture worldwide, threatening the very foundation of human sustenance. As the planet's temperature rises, the agricultural landscape, upon which billions depend for food, income, and security, is being transformed by forces beyond the control of any single farmer or nation. Dramatic shifts in weather patterns, novel pests and diseases, dwindling water supplies, and reduced soil fertility are combining to form a perfect storm for global food production. But how exactly is climate change causing this disruption? And what can be done to adapt and secure our food future? Let's start with one of the most visible impacts: changing weather patterns. Historically, farmers have depended on predictable seasons, the arrival of spring rains, the gentle rise of summer heat, but climate change has made the old calendars unreliable. Prolonged droughts have parched fields in regions like Eastern Africa and California, stressing crops like maize and alfalfa and causing harvests to fail. At the same time, extreme storms bring torrential rains and devastating floods, submerging farmlands and washing away seedlings and fertile topsoil. In South Asia, for instance, unseasonal monsoons have destroyed rice crops and devastated rural communities for years in a row. But the problem isn't just the unpredictability of rainfall, it's also the overall decline in water availability. With glaciers and snowpacks shrinking at alarming rates, crucial rivers such as the Ganges, the Yangtze, and the Colorado are producing less water, right when crops need it most. As aquifers are depleted faster than they can naturally recharge, farmers in places like India and the U.S. Midwest are left scrambling to irrigate their thirsty fields. Of course, temperature itself is a major disruptor. Even modest increases in average temperature can dramatically reduce yields of staples like wheat, rice, and corn, crops that billions rely upon. For every degree Celsius of warming, scientists estimate yields of these crops could drop by up to 10%. Warmer nights interfere with the grain-filling process, while hotter days can cause blossoms to wither and fruit not to set, especially in crops like coffee and cocoa. Meanwhile, climate change is expanding the range and infectivity of agricultural pests and diseases. Insects, such as the fall armyworm and locusts, once confined to certain climates, are now able to invade new regions devastated by high temperatures and shifting rainfall. Likewise, fungal infections like wheat rust are spreading to areas that were once too cold for their survival. These plagues often arrive unexpectedly, leaving farmers with little time to prepare or adapt. Crop quality is also being affected in subtle but serious ways. Scientists have found that higher air temperatures and increased levels of carbon dioxide can reduce the nutritional value of many staple crops, leading to lower concentrations of essential nutrients like zinc, iron, and protein. In regions where people already struggle to meet their daily nutritional needs, this hidden hunger threatens public health and economic stability alike. It's not only plant agriculture that's under threat. Livestock production, too, is being disrupted by climate change. Heat stress reduces milk output in dairy cows, slows weight gain in cattle, and increases mortality in poultry. In places like Australia and the Sahel, drought dries up pasturelands, leaving herders with little to feed their animals, while water shortages exacerbate disease outbreaks among both livestock and people. The financial toll is immense. Extreme weather events, combined with falling productivity, have pushed countless farming families into poverty. Entire countries, especially those that rely on a single export crop, face rising food prices, food shortages, and economic contraction. According to the United Nations, nearly 700 million people are already hungry, and the number is expected to grow as global warming accelerates. So what can be done to address this unprecedented threat? The challenge is huge, but so is human ingenuity. Around the world, scientists, farmers, and policymakers are racing to adapt. One line of defense is innovation in crop breeding. Researchers are developing new varieties that can withstand drought, heat, and salinity, as well as resist emerging pests and diseases. For example, heat-tolerant wheat and flood-resistant rice varieties are already helping to safeguard harvests in vulnerable regions. Water management is another area of critical focus. In water-scarce areas, farmers are adopting drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting, and other techniques that maximize efficiency and reduce waste. In cities, investments in green infrastructure, like urban gardens and permeable pavements, are helping to capture and store rainwater for use during dry spells. Digital technology is also making a difference. Smartphone apps deliver up-to-date weather forecasts, market information, and advice directly to farmers in even the most remote locations. Precision agriculture, using satellite imagery and data analytics, helps optimize the use of water, fertilizers, and pesticides, boosting yields while minimizing environmental harm. But adaptation alone will not be enough. The long-term solution lies in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This means transforming our energy, transport, and food systems, moving away from fossil fuels, conserving forests, and adopting more sustainable land use practices. Sustainable diets, featuring less meat and more plant-based foods, can reduce the climate footprint of agriculture while promoting health. Meanwhile, supporting smallholder farmers is critical, as they produce much of the world's food. Investments in education, finance, infrastructure, and access to global markets will make them more resilient to climate shocks and help lift rural communities out of poverty. Ultimately, securing our food future in the face of climate change is not just a matter for farmers or governments, it is a challenge for all of us, everywhere. Every meal we eat is a reminder of our dependence on a stable, functioning environment and the immense care required to sustain it. The road ahead will not be easy, but the stakes could not be higher. By working together, across borders, sectors, and generations, we can rise to meet this challenge. Through innovation, cooperation, and determination, humanity can transform its food systems and build a more just and sustainable world for all. Let's begin today, for the future of food and for generations yet to come.